good evening and welcome to About the Valley. And my guest tonight is Kate Campanale
Yes.
from Worcester, Massachusetts. She is currently the state rep in what you call it, South Worcester,
Yes, South Worcester,
Leicester.
Worcester Square, and Leicester.
Yeah.
Yes.
But she is a candidate for Register of Deeds, which the incumbent is not running this year. So is an open seat. I don't know if there's a Democratic candidate, is there?
There's rumors of one, so we'll see. Right now, we're in the process of
Oh, so there's
just
no
getting
announced,
nomination.
no real announced Democratic candidate.
No,
So all you have right now is a race within the Republican Party.
Correct.
So if no one comes out, you win the primary.
True. I'm sure there will be someone.
Yeah, I can't
yes.
believe that they wouldn't. But Tony Vigalotti kind of waited till quite late before he decided not to run.
Yes, it was a surprise.
Yeah, I know, everyone was shocked.
Yes.
But nice guy Tony. He was on this show here, but hey, finally realized, kind of time to retire.
Absolutely, and we thank him for his service. It's a very long tenure.
Oh my God, I'm on a
he's-
planning board in town. I was on a planning board a number of years ago. I'm back, and I can't remember anybody else's being
Sure.
the Register of Deeds.
Sure.
In fact, I built my house in the late '70s, and he was a register then. So he does go
I
back
hear-
quite a distance.
Absolutely, and he's brought the registry through
Yeah.
a lot of many
Well,
decades.
Let's get down to you.
Sure.
You're a successful state rep, and I mean that because you're reelected now,
Yes, I'm in
and
the fourth year.
you're Republican in South Worcester. That's got to be a pretty tough thing to pull off.
Very.
And I'm sure you had challenges.
Yes, I did. I did. My first run was back in 2014, and statistically, I had a 6% chance of winning that election just because of the
Yeah.
demographics.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It was held so long by a Democratic state rep,
Yep.
John Benenda. And
For years.
yes, almost 30 years.
Yeah.
30 years, and very well respected in the
Yeah.
community as well. And I won that election with 47 votes. I worked really
By
hard.
47 votes.
47 votes.
They go,
47.
don't think your vote doesn't
Yep.
count.
Every
47
vote
people
counts.
vote
Yes.
counts very much. For Kate,
Oh God! I remember on election day, getting the votes in. I thought at first I won by 5, but then
Oh.
those few that come afterwards.
Oh.
So it was tight. Every vote counts.
oh
for
my
sure.
God, did he call for a recount?
No, there wasn't a recount. So,
Ah.
so
Well,
that-
47 is it's a good enough
Yes.
spread. For 5, you definitely would have been a recount.
Yes, that absolutely,
And
absolutely.
that makes it even tougher. Now you got to go through. It's like going through the election again.
Sure, exactly.
Or worse, yes.
No,
Yeah, because you have no control. You can't influence
Oh.
anything.
no.
Oh,
God bless anyone that has to do that.
so now how many terms have you served?
2 terms.
2 terms.
2 terms. So my second election went much smoother.
So now
a good margin, and very
a
happy.
third
with
term
what
would
I've done.
probably be pretty easy to get.
Yes, I
You're-
would think so. I feel like I've done a lot for the community. I've loved
Yep.
serving. Love serving. It's been very rewarding.
Usually, once you make the second term, you're pretty much locked in,
For-
regardless of party.
I've heard that many times. Your re-election is the toughest race you'll ever have.
Yes.
Hmm.
So now where you're pretty well solid, why would you want to run for Register of Deeds?
Yeah, it's been a position that I've been looking at for some time,
Uh-huh.
and it's one that only comes up every 6 years. Also,
Yeah, I mean
So
that's
you
what
have to-
it's campaigning every 2 years. People don't realize that 2 years comes quick.
Oh, very very quick. Yes, can't believe we're in re-election mode already
I know.
for so many, and in elections, the days feel like a year, and then but and the changes that happen in a day are.
Well, that's
Changes
true. You know,
in the
in a campaign year, it's an eternity.
Yes,
It really feels that
Mhm.
way. I know I've been involved in campaigns,
sure.
but then when after you get elected, first thing you know, you have to run again.
Right, exactly.
And it's, where did 2 years go?
Right.
And of course now the legislature too they don't close after 1 year now. the legislative year runs for 2 years.
Yes, yes. So it will be
So,
ending in
you know,
July.
you really gotta work at that, trying to get everything done, whereas before you could say, hey, look at the year closed and now I gotta start
So
over
we
again
have-
and.
certainly, certainly.
So
And
it
every
makes a
state is
lot, it makes a
different.
big difference, and it
Mhm.
makes it tough too, where you wanna be at the sessions, but then you gotta be out campaigning.
Exactly, exactly.
And
It's a very, it's
You
a
spend
very
tremendous
balance.
a lot of people
Mhm.
don't realize, they say, oh, what do you mean, how much they work? They go in, they don't go in on Mondays, they don't go in on Fridays. Well, you might go into the office, you may not be in session,
Sure.
but you're still gonna go into Boston,
You're still going in, you're still having meetings, you have committee
the
hearings.
committees, yeah.
You're in your district at
And the other thing is,
nights, weekends.
you're in the, you gotta make the night places, you gotta, people expect to see you, you gotta report in with the city council or the town, board of selectmen.
Absolutely. Right,
Yeah.
right. I was at a selectmen's meeting on Monday, and
Yeah.
this morning I was up at Green Hill for the 50th commemoration of the Vietnam War.
Yeah,
That was this morning. So every day is different. Every day is different. But that's what I've loved about the job too.
50 years ago today, I left for Fort Dix.
Did you? Oh my!
It's embedded in the brain. 5 o'clock in the morning,
That,
you had to get a
that
bus.
that is something you wouldn't forget.
No, you don't forget.
No.
50 years ago, I said, 50 years? God, where did it go? It's amazing how time does fly by. And the older you get, the faster it goes
I was
by.
gonna say you don't look old enough for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. And like you say, here you are into another campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this one's going to be a little tougher.
It is. This
You got a bigger area.
much bigger, and I was looking on a map. You're constantly looking at the map of Worcester County, and but driving around the county, you realize how big it actually is, and how
Worcester
every
County is
community
large.
is so different.
Yeah.
So different.
Yeah, you're
And,
talking, you're going all the way out to Ware,
Mm-hmm.
and the other direction, you're going out to Milford and,
Milford, Southborough, all the way up to
South- yeah.
Harvard,
yeah.
and all the way out to Athol and Royalston.
Yeah.
So it's quite a big territory.
It's enormous.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And a lot of small towns, when you go out in the western parts, a lot of small towns and a lot of nothing in between.
Yes, yes. So it's been beautiful. It's been
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, it's
and
beautiful country.
enjoying it, meeting so many great people
Yeah.
on the campaign trail so far, and it's been great.
And you got to get out there, because if you don't, the hardest part is the name recognition.
Mm-hmm. Certainly, and when you come to a county race such as this, it's about name recognition.
Yes.
And making sure people know who you are and what you're running for, because these are one of Register of Deeds is one of those positions that not many people even know is elected.
Well, yeah, because Tony Vigalotti was there for so many years, and he didn't have a lot of challenges over the years.
No.
So people don't think about it. And over that period of time, we had a large transition within county government,
But yes.
because we went from a large county government, elected positions, to just a handful now.
Sure.
Very limited, and more or less, you run by the state.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Before, we were somewhat independent of the state. Got some money came from the state, but a lot of money came from the cities and towns.
Mm-hmm.
They were assessed,
So,
dog license fees, things like that.
sure.
But that's all changing now,
It is.
and the state took over, and not all the counties have gone to that direction, have they?
No, most down in the Cape, in that area down there in the South Shore, they do have county
keep in their
run
county government.
county commissioners. Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ours are long
but
gone.
not that out here. Yeah.
And, but we still got the Register of Deeds. We have the probate,
Probate. Yes.
which is Mrs. Fatman.
Mm-hmm.
Her first name escaped me.
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was a shocker.
Yeah.
Now she ran 2 years ago?
She ran in 14. That
Oh,
was
4 years
that,
ago.
4 years ago.
She's
Yes.
up and she's got another
Yes.
2 years. 'Cause
We
county
both,
seats are 6.
yes. So we both ran our first time 4
Oh.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you both
And
shocked
she's-
everybody.
Exactly. Exactly. That
And-
was quite a year.
And you got the county sheriff,
Yes.
Lou Evangelitis, who just ran 2 years ago, so he's
Yes.
ran for re-election
So
2
he
years
has
ago. So he's
4
set
years.
now for another 4 years.
Absolutely.
And you got, I think, is that it?
DA Early.
Oh, DA, yes.
Yes.
How could I forget?
I know. DA Early and Clerk of Courts.
Yes.
Mr. McManus.
Yeah, now see,
So-
those are, I never hear of a challenge on them.
Right, right. So I don't think that DA Early has a challenger this year.
No. See, so,
I'm
so,
not
so
sure it's
that's why, like you say, a lot of people don't realize it's elected because
He's-
you forget.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know, there's no challenge on the ballot, and a lot of times people won't even vote.
Sure.
They just
It-
skip over it.
Exactly. And we're so focused on the top of the ticket too. You know, the governor, senator.
Yes.
And you know, that's where we see most of the attention going, and or your local races such as a state rep or state senator.
Yep.
And you kind of miss what's in between, or at the very end of the ballot this year.
We're kind of different. In Massachusetts, one thing is, if we don't have a governor's race, we get a presidential race.
Yes.
So every 2 years, we got a top office that's up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So it's a draw.
Yes, it is.
You know, if the governor and the president were locked in together, then it would be hard in that off year to get people to come out because it would only be state reps and senators and some county seats.
I agree. I agree.
So I mean, with a governor's race, it tends to draw more people out.
Certainly.
So
Certainly.
that could be a plus for you.
I think so, especially in Worcester County where it's much more conservative.
Well,
And he does
I think it
very
was.
well here.
What is
The
it?
governor.
The governor's race was won by 45,000 votes, I think it was. 40,000 votes, 40,000 votes, and was 45,000 within the Worcester County.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I think Governor Baker realizes that this is where he got elected.
Yes, yes, and I don't think he's forgotten that
No.
either. No.
So and it's also been a good stronghold for Republicans. I mean, that's where we've seen so many turnarounds.
Oh, very much. Especially as you said, you know, the past few years.
Yeah.
You know, between my seat and you
Yeah.
know, we've been able to hold seats as well, and you know, even making the inroads into the city, into Worcester.
I know,
It's
yours
very
was a big one.
important.
I mean, I was shocked when I heard you won, and I said, wow, a Republican in South Worcester,
So, right, right.
which is extremely liberal.
Yes. So I love my district because it's so diverse. You know, you
Yes.
start on one side on the edge of Spencer, and we have 2 farms there, and then I go all the way and you know follow Main Street all the way down into Worcester, and I'm right down through Clark University.
Yeah, which is
on the corner of
the height of liberalism in the city.
Yes, yes, exactly. So that just shows you the diversity in just a small district.
But you know, in a way, this is good because now you got to work with these people, and they can see that Republicans aren't bad people.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That we do care about the poor and the underprivileged, and we can help them.
Exactly.
But
and
we're not out to give you a helping hand. We're out to give you a hand up.
right,
You know,
correct.
Raise yourself up. Don't sit there all the rest of your life and just take the check.
Oh, right. There are so many good people doing good things in the city
Yes.
that, as you said, I think are getting unrecognized. You know, the Boys and Girls Club is in Worcester, in my district.
Yeah.
They do so much great work for the youth there. There's
You got the
other
Y down in your
program-
district too.
Yes, the Y's right there.
They're very active.
Very. And, you know, we've put a lot of work into Yes We Care, which is a great organization that helps with youth violence and youth at risk that are in gangs or want to get out of gangs. In Worcester, it's very, very successful.
Worcester,
And-
for the second largest city in New England, hasn't got that much crime problem.
No.
I mean, there is crime problem. What the heck's
There
a
is.
city? I
It's a
mean, what are you
city.
going to do? We have a crime problem in a town.
Sure.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, you have to have some, but it's not that bad.
No, and the crime rate has gone down.
Yeah.
This past they
And
just
race
came out with that
relations within the
report.
city aren't that bad.
No, I don't believe
We've
so.
always been a little better off in Worcester than in some other cities.
Yes, and it's great to. Worcester Police Department is fantastic.
Yes.
I've done ride-alongs with them and have seen just what a daily shift is like for them, and the calls they get on a daily basis is very eye-opening. Gives you a
You
whole
really
new
gotta,
perspective.
yeah, you gotta be in the cop's shoes to see what it's really like.
No doubt. Not only with their job, which is thankless, but with any organization. I think that's what I've learned most as a rep is, you have to go and visit a business, visit, a home care facility in order to really appreciate what someone does on a daily basis. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and now the big problem, of course, is dealing with the opioid problem, and of course, imagine in a city it's even worse.
Yes. Opioid. I think we're doing a lot of things as a state.
Yes. Trying anyway.
Exactly. We don't have a whole solution, and it's going to take some time. Unfortunately, it's not a quick fix, but
Right.
I think we are learning as a state to the stigma that there isn't a stigma there. It can happen in the suburbs. It can happen in the city. It could happen to anybody.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
we're facing in Northbridge right now, it's coming up at a town meeting vote, the marijuana issue.
Oh, yes.
And for the most part, I'm on a planning board and we're going to have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care either way. I'm kind of libertarian.
Sure.
And, if you want to smoke marijuana, I don't do it because the purpose of it is to get high. I like a beer now and then, but I only have one. I don't get high. I like it because I like the taste of it. I like it with my meals.
Sure.
But, the smoke, don't tell me you smoke a marijuana cigarette for the taste. You smoke it to get high.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but that's besides the point. Now, the city has no out on that, do they?
No, the city does want to bring in marijuana dispensaries.
Right.
And we're not sure how many licenses they'll have and if they'll be approved.
But the city can't say no.
Correct.
Whereas the towns, if the people in the town vote, now in the general election, Northbridge voted in favor.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to go through a process of the town meeting and a general election vote.
Sure.
But Westboro just had town meeting vote and it's not allowed. Is this going to be a problem for the city if a lot of these towns say no? Then you're going to make it the city is going to be the hub.
True, and I do worry about that. I was a strong in opposition of question 4 back 2 years ago, but this past summer I went to Colorado and actually saw how they're doing it.
Oh, you're one of the reps that went out there.
I did go out there, yes.
Oh, okay, great.
And,
I like to get some ideas. I heard that for the most part, you weren't too impressed with what was going on.
To admit, it was actually the opposite for me because I went obviously with an open mind, but knowing that I did vote against it. But it's law in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
You have to, it's the will of the people, and now we have
passed.
to exactly. Now we have to put these regulations in place. But I was very impressed in Colorado, the fact that how well regulated it seemed. And what I think it comes down to, which is very important, is access. And you would think that the less dispensaries you have, the better. But I think it's actually the opposite.
Oh.
We found that the more dispensaries there are, the less people are buying from the black market, because it's easier for them to go down the street and go to a regulated pot shop than saying, oh, I don't want to drive 30 miles.
Well, that's a good point. Mm-hmm. And that's a situation you would have with all the towns rejecting. Why would I drive to the city? I'll just go pick it up from a local street corner.
Exactly. and you find that the people that are going, Denver itself, I think it had around 200 dispensaries
Wow.
just in the city
Of course, a
itself.
good-sized city.
Yes, but it proved to the point of the access. People are going to these shops now instead of, going again on the black market because they know it's regulated. They know it's not laced with fentanyl or something else, so
Well,
they don't
that's the
mind
thing,
paying
you
the
know, you're
higher.
getting stuff that's not gonna be affected by something else.
Absolutely.
Now, did you find though that, because if you go and buy it legally, you're paying a high tax on it,
Yes.
that buy it on the street for a lot less?
True.
I mean, it's like buying, what you might say, hijack cigarettes, you know?
Right.
Why buy them in a store? I can buy them for a lot less because somebody stole them off a truck.
Sure. And I think you're still going to have the people who are going to do it illegally. But I think for the most part, for the general public who, hey, maybe want to try it or are getting it from a dealer, are more up to say, again, well, I'd rather buy it legally. I'd rather know that it's safe to smoke, and I'd rather go, 5 minutes down the road and pay the higher tax for it and get it now versus,
Did they find an increase in people using?
What I found interesting was the rate of people coming in that they called 60% of the people coming in to buy pot in Colorado were called tourists. And, they were coming into Colorado just to buy the pot. 60%. So that's such a large percentage.
These are people from out of state.
Out of state coming into Colorado. So
well, how do you handle that? I mean, can you take it back to your state?
Well, you're not supposed to.
I know.
And the airport was plastered with signs,
Yeah,
signs like that.
For one thing, it's illegal nationally.
Sure.
So if you cross state lines.
Exactly. So there are some problems there, I'm sure, with public safety. And I also wonder, too, once other surrounding states start to legalize marijuana,
Right.
because I do think it's probably inevitable at some point.
Well, it's beginning to look that way. You're seeing more and more.
You wonder how that's going to affect the market.
Yeah.
In some of these first states, Colorado, Massachusetts.
Now, one of the complaints I heard here was that we have a tax, but it's not as high as they have in Colorado. And why come we didn't go with a higher tax and make it more favorable to the towns to have a marijuana shop because they would get that extra cash?
Okay, sure. I know. I was just talking to my town manager in Leicester about this yesterday, and they're actually expecting. Right now, there's we have one facility in Leicester, but they're doing medical marijuana.
Yeah, oh, you do?
So, yes, so actually be able to, because they're licensed for medical marijuana now, they'll actually be able to sell recreational and apply for that. But the tax dollars that are coming in from that are going to be significant to the town. I believe it was between $300,000, $500,000 just in.
Already?
Well, not
Oh,
yet.
that's what they
not yet.
project.
Yes.
But that's
So
$500,000 is a lot of money for a town.
For a town, especially when you see so many towns struggling with school budgets and infrastructure, you name it. Every town is.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty significant. Boy, that's very significant.
So, yes.
We could be losing out here.
Right.
But
So it's very interesting.
I found that, because we have a person, there's a woman that wants to open a shop.
Okay.
She's been at planning board meetings. She wants to know what's going to happen in Northbridge. But she's looking at any one town that'll accept. But here again, like I said, there's a lot of people that don't want it because they're concerned. Now, you got the medical dispensary in Leicester. Have they seen any problems with that?
No, not that I'm aware
Now, for the
of.
medical, you have to have a prescription from the doctor.
Correct, yes, and have the medical ID card.
Oh, okay, you get the medical ID card from your doctor?
Sure, right.
I know people that have used it for medical reasons told me that works very well.
Yes.
So, hey,
I've
I'm 100% behind that.
Sure, Sure.
I know of a couple of cancer people, victims, that have used it with chemo, and they said it's phenomenal.
That
It's got us through the chemotherapy,
exactly.
which can be extremely
Oh,
painful.
absolutely.
So,
chemo
I mean, hey, I'm all for that.
for the exactly. I see it, and you know the children with that get constant seizures,
Yeah.
and the how marijuana helps with the seizures too. It's
Now,
so
do they take? They don't smoke it. The kids, they take
no,
that.
no,
They take it
and
orally.
yes. So yes,
So
but
I mean,
there's some
like I said, it's no different than taking an opioid.
so true.
So, you know, we
So
have
is it
opioids illegal,
Mm-hmm.
so why not? I have no problem with the medical.
Sure.
The recreational, there is some concerns. You don't have, they don't smoke it within the shop.
No.
They have to take it home.
No, absolutely.
Now,
Yes.
they have the pastries as well?
Oh, the edibles?
The edibles.
Yeah, they will be allowing once you're allowed to sell
They're looking to do
recreational.
that as well.
You will, yes. You know, and that's a little that is concerning to me, especially for the youth who may get their you know, it takes time to digest that. It takes time to get that high they might be looking for, and
Yeah.
you hate to see a lot of you know, kids eating 5 of them and you know, at a time and then end up overdosing.
That could be a problem. That can cause you to OD on them.
Absolutely. So that's concerning.
And not only that, I mean, how can you tell an edible from a non-edible? Well, not non-edible, one that's not laced with THC.
Sure, especially if it's out of the packaging.
Yeah.
So you know that I think the Cannabis Control Commission is doing a lot of work on that, and you know the packaging and you know how how marijuana is marketed, and
yeah, that's quite
and they
a
have.
job.
I was just going to say yes. They've been charged with.
I know they're getting a good paycheck, but they've got quite a job on their hands.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
And do this statewide as well.
There are so many things that we probably haven't even thought about that are coming up in their meetings as well.
Boy, this is really something.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think anybody considered that would even pass, and then when it did pass, all of a sudden, what do you do now?
Oh, sure. Right.
You being in the legislature, you saw that firsthand.
Yes, we did. But so yes, it was a bit of a shock, I would say, that it did pass. But,
Yeah.
I think
Because it
we
wasn't a
tried to
big
handle it.
margin,
No,
but it did
no,
pass.
it did, and I know it was delayed because we were
Right.
trying to get the legislation right, and
Well, you figure that was passed almost 2 years ago now, and the towns are still working on accepting,
absolutely right,
because they keep getting extension, to get that extension, and
exactly.
yeah,
Yep.
wow.
So I'll be curious to see how Northbridge votes.
Yeah, I'm interested too. We already got a bylaw that doesn't allow it in any zone.
Oh.
That's at town meeting, that the selectmen have put in, the planning board had to have a public hearing on it.
Sure.
But that's gonna be at town meeting in May. But that's kind of putting the cart before the horse, because we don't know what's gonna happen at the general election.
Right.
But they wanted to cover themselves. If it does, if the general election turns out that people accept marijuana stores within town, then we gotta do a new bylaw
Okay.
as to where they can be allowed.
Sure.
I think we're allowed 3,
Okay.
because it's based
Yeah,
on your
based on-
number of liquor licenses you have.
Mhm.
And I believe it said we were allowed 3, so we'd have to figure out where we're gonna put them.
Okay.
You know, it's like the liquor stores. You can't have a liquor store within 100 feet of a church, and I mean, to me, those are archaic laws.
Mhm.
Because what's the difference?
True.
But
True.
these are things we'll
There are
deal with.
many of those.
Yeah, but these are things we'll deal with.
Yes.
I know back when the problem with pornographic stores opening up, which the internet did away with. You know? But that was a problem, because a lot of communities were concerned that these places would open, and if you didn't have zoning, they could open anywhere.
Very good point. Exactly.
And I was on a planning board back then, that was a number of years ago, and I came up with a bylaw that we would allow them, because you had to allow them,
Mhm.
but we only allow them in industrial 1 zones.
Okay.
Well, And I said, I'm not worried about it because there's
no one's going to make fun of.
Yeah, well, who in a factory is going to, you know, we have industrial one zones and they're all occupied by factory buildings. I don't think they're going to let anybody do that, but if they do, no one will even know they're there.
No, exactly. No.
But no one, like I said, that went the way of the internet.
Okay. I was just going to ask, so no one ended up.
No.
No. Good planning.
Yeah. Because I remember they had them in Worcester, right on Main Street.
Yes. Well, they just knocked down the Paris Theater there,
Yeah.
you know? And,
I remember that. Oh, my God. They're having some problems with getting that area cleaned up, haven't they?
Actually, if you go down into downtown Worcester, it's almost unrecognizable when you go down there. The skyline, I feel like, is changing every day.
Oh, I know it's changed. Well, the church, is it come down?
Sure.
I haven't been down there.
The church, not yet. I know they're working on that. And then Mount Carmel is also an issue there, but they're putting in where the Paris cinema is. I believe it's a beer garden there. They have all the new luxury apartments.
At Mount Carmel?
No.
Was St. John? Was it not the name of the church now?
Oh, Notre Dame.
The one right in the center, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right off of right near Front Street.
Yes. Yep. That Notre Dame.
Is it?
Right?
I forget.
Okay. Across from the
It's
library.
a beautiful church.
Oh, very beautiful.
Architecture is beautiful. It's a shame to bring it down, but people aren't using it.
Exactly.
And the church can't afford to maintain an empty building.
It's so sad to see these beautiful buildings and the history there.
Yes.
And to see them not, I like to see them repurposed. You know, you see so many becoming restaurants or
art museums.
Exactly. I'm not sure if you've seen Bull Mansion in downtown Worcester. That's become a new restaurant. And,
oh, really?
Oh, what they've done in there, they've kept so much of the original architecture, woodwork, have changed so little. It's just a great feature.
I went out to out in not Binghamton, but Owego, New York. There was a county jail for that area, and they abandoned it because they didn't need it anymore. They turned it into a restaurant. And you go in there, and I actually went in there, and we ate in a jail cell.
Really?
And graffiti on the walls and everything else. They left it all original.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's interesting.
It was quite the place.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that you take some of these buildings and you can make a pretty interesting place to go to.
Absolutely.
But I know WCRN was in downtown, but they pulled out of there. But part of it, Becker took over the building.
I was just I remember doing some radio shows down there.
Well, Westboro now.
Right there.
But there was somewhat of a problem with the homeless too.
Yes. And you know, I think...
And isn't that still a problem on the Common?
I was just going to say, they're still struggling with that on the Common. And, you know, I know it's very difficult, especially with City Hall being right there, and difficulty with the library, too, that the homeless are going in there.
Yeah, they're in the library.
Yes, the library in City Hall. So,
they're using the Common for a bathroom.
Yes.
And that's a big problem. And you know, you got the skating rink down there, and it's a beautiful Common. They've done a great job with it.
It is, and
it's too bad.
Very, and you know, you see downtown Worcester. You go down there during the day, and it's bustling.
Yeah.
But as soon as 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock hits,
because all the offices that are down there, everybody goes home.
So I think hopefully that will change with the new apartments there, more people living down there.
I thought the Bancroft would bring more people in.
I think we'll find that hopefully. We have the pharmacy school there as
Yes.
well, which I think will attract a lot of students there, or hopefully the students that stay and work at where they're at or the hospitals, and really revive that downtown area.
I know the city has done a lot to try to revive the downtown area. You know, with the move of St. Vincent's down into downtown, and the pharmacy school, and everything they've done, but it just seems it doesn't.
And
I mean, I'm old enough to go back to the days when downtown Worcester was really something. It was all stores, and Wednesday night was shopping, and You know, it was quite the place.
Yes.
And then they built the Galleria. I remember when it was built, and it actually killed the downtown. And then the Galleria died.
Yeah. I do remember shopping there too.
Yeah. But I think what
that's-
killed it was they had to go to parking. You had to pay to
It's
park.
Yes.
And you had to walk a long distance to get into the
Yeah.
stores.
I do. Yes. Yes. It's coming
Yeah.
back to me a bit, but
You know, if you go to the Urban Mall, you know, you might walk a little bit, but not that much.
sure. Right.
So I think, you know, a lot of, we're a society where people like to drive. Now that's becoming different. Now no one wants to drive and they want to shop online.
Exactly. I was right.
So,
So you see
I
all
mean, we're
these.
going through another transition.
Right. Some of the brick and mortar stores that are going out of business, but
In fact, someone commented on TV
true.
today, I said, they said pretty soon the bars will be delivering the drinks to your house
Yes.
in a little box. You know, you go online and order.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I was at a friend's house. I was visiting a friend, and there was a knock on the door, and it was an Amazon delivery. And sure enough, there was like, she had a case of beer, and she had food, like all her groceries, just delivered by Amazon.
Amazon delivering beer?
Right to her door. Yep.
Wow.
But so
See, that could be a
what's going
problem.
to happen?
How do you stop your teenage son from ordering a case of beer?
I'm not too sure.
You know, he knows you're not going to be home, so he orders it. Okay, it's going to be delivered this day.
Log on to your parents' account.
Yeah.
Oh, so with technology comes a lot of
Yeah.
consequences we don't think about either.
Right.
So.
I know, as a kid, that was an old trick that you call a taxi car to deliver the beer.
Okay.
But the taxi driver, the cab driver would have to ask for an ID. Of course, some wouldn't. You hand them an extra $20. But yeah,
Good
this
old
is
days.
we're changing all the time, and
Yes.
you know, as Americans, I think we've always been able to adjust to it.
Yes, I'd say.
And, you know, this can transition us into talking about the registry. That where you're going
Absolutely.
to? Are you looking at changes at the registry?
Yes, certainly, and going. I think that's actually a great segue, because when we're looking at technology and we're looking at all of these changes, I think cybersecurity is one of our number one threats.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. How about people going online and buying and selling your house?
Exactly. I think consumer protection, it would be my number one priority at the registry.
Yeah. What I don't understand today, you have online signing.
Mm-hmm.
And all you do is type your name in, the computer signs your name, and that's accepted legally?
Science. It is, and I think there are a lot of safeguards that are in place. E-signature has been around for quite a while. I mean, you think back to when UPS or you were signing for your packages.
How can you even read that signature?
And that was back.
Credit cards the same way. When you go in the
decades
store and they have
ago.
you. How do you read that? I mean,
Certainly.
I usually do
So,
I sound like Donald Trump.
Sure, right. Yeah, just the scribbles.
Yeah,
so I think
because,
they've
I
gotten
mean,
better.
Who's
But
gonna? You can't write legitimate. You can't write your name where it's going to be read. Not on that thing.
Sure, no.
But I'm saying that where people can type your name in and it count as a signature, that's a good way of stealing your property.
It could, especially the people that are doing it illegally. I think signatures, e-documentation, when doing the right way through your law office, through a brokerage, using the right technology, the right software that's connected to the registry. I think that's a safe way to do it.
Right.
But cybersecurity is a main concern. You hear what I've been learning, too.
Well, they can steal your whole identity.
Whole identity. Anyone can. And I think that's where, you talk about a lot of people talk about the registry. Why do you want to do that? It's such a, it seems like such a dull job. Well, I don't think you understand the potential that's there for the registry, for public education, for safeguarding this kind of information, and how much outreach the registry can do to be known and be a resource to people in the community, and not just the people that use it every day. and I'm on Ways and Means in the legislature.
Oh,
And
okay.
I will say the number one topic that's been talked about through the hearings we just finished up last week has been about online security. The governor has actually made a new secretariat for technology security. And basically they are going through and trying to work with every agency to make sure they have the safeguards in place to protect all of this information. And
I've had a phone call.
We
take calls, but we don't generally get them
okay.
because they let me just talk.
Okay.
I ask all the questions.
And great.
But we don't realize that the more involved we are, everything is becoming more and more involved in computers, storing it all over the place in the cloud now.
Sure.
Now it's even more so because now storage is a big thing,
Absolutely.
and so the chance of people getting access becomes even higher.
For sure. And you hear other counties, I'm coming across other counties in not particular to Massachusetts, but out in the Midwest, that have actually had hackers come in and hold their records, their land records, at ransom. And when you think about that, when you think about the volume and amount of information that's at the Registry of Deeds, dating back from the 1700s to the today,
Actually, the 1600s.
Yes, true.
Worcester, I think, goes back to the Quinsig settlement.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yep.
Then they got wiped out, and then they came back. I'm a big history guy.
Okay. Oh, so you know everything that's there at the registry, and I think that's something educators go there, historians go there to look up this information.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
as well.
I mean, I live on some property that goes back in my family 100 years, but I'd like to know even more further back.
Oh, absolutely.
We took we took a house down when I gave some land to my son to build a house, but that farmhouse had gone back. Was built around 1812.
Wow.
And I actually took it down and sold it. It's down in Connecticut now. It's a library. It's added on to someone's house as a library.
Is it really?
Because it was post and beam. And I found a guy that that took it apart.
Okay.
He took it apart, numbered them all, and took it down to Connecticut and reassembled it.
Sure.
So it's still in existence.
So it's still there.
But it was still, these houses were built with this white oak, all honed out with hand tools and with the wooden pegs and the whole bit, post and beam, and so built rugged. But I'd like to get the history behind it.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, and the history is fascinating.
Oh yeah,
Fascinating.
I'd love to know who built it and
exactly.
And I love history anyway, but yeah, that's a great source if you can get back in those records and making them accessible online.
Exactly, and even just reaching out and again, making the registry a community resource. The historical societies, historical commissions that are in town, team up with them to make sure that they have this kind of information or know that it's available. How great would it be to have history lessons in school about, looking up and saying, well, where do you live? Do you want to know the history of your
That would make it more interesting for the kids.
Wouldn't it? And
yeah,
just
the students would love that.
Wouldn't I would love it as a student. I think they would too.
You can relate to it.
Exactly. There could be a whole project based on that. And so there's the history angle. There's the
so that's not available
security.
right now.
As far as
online, you can't go online and get that far
you
back.
can get certain histories, but
I tried it and I couldn't get pretty far with it.
Well, I think that's another thing to make things more customer service friendly. Customer service is number one in consumer protection, and I think there's a lot that we can do.
You got to be careful because you want to protect.
Yes.
And if someone could go back far enough on a deed, they could put some kind of a lien on it or something, and then someone buys the property and find out, wait a minute.
I was talking to someone just within this past week, and they were telling me about the issues that they had about someone putting fraudulent liens on their home, and they had no idea until they went to sell it.
Oh,
And
see?
there was nothing that they could do about it as the owner but pay it off. And I'm not sure
Oh my God.
all of the circumstances there, but these are the things that are happening.
What a nightmare.
Yeah, a complete nightmare. Complete nightmare.
It's there and you never even knew it.
Yes, yes. So I think these are things that we can help notify, help educate the people
Now,
that these are in
someone
place.
can go online now and look up their address and see if there's any liens.
Yes,
Because you do, if you have a mortgage, it's dated on there.
certainly.
And if a mortgage was paid off or you remortgaged and went to
Okay.
another bank, it should show that the other one was taken off.
Yes.
Because that can be a problem too, if you go to sell, and you might have a mortgage, say, sometimes people have remortgaged 3 and 4 times. The mortgage company or the bank didn't drop it, didn't go in and tell it. The lawyer who handled it screwed up and didn't go in and file with the registry.
Sure.
So now you gotta go back and say, okay, yeah, here's I got the paperwork. You know, you might have a paid mortgage, but they don't show it
But
there. So now you can bring it into the registry and get it straightened out.
Exactly. And between that and what's happened with foreclosures and
Yes.
one mortgage company buying out another, and they're just selling the mortgage and selling the mortgage. And
Yeah, that's
it's
another thing
hard
too.
to,
Today, you might start a mortgage
to
with one
track down.
company, and the first you know, it's 5 different companies later because they keep selling it.
Sure, and I know municipalities are having a tough time, even with some houses. I know it's a problem in the city with who actually owns this home.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
Well, I can
There's a lot
imagine
of
in the city there's some
responsibility.
problems with the fact that people just walk away.
walk away, then home values go down
Yep.
in these neighborhoods as well, and because the house isn't kept up. Too,
So what are some of the things you could do as a registrar to help some of the people? Do you have any ideas on what you want to do when you get there?
Yes, I think number one is operational efficiency. I think there's always room for improvement. And you can't have too much protection. You can't have, again.
You need accessibility, but you need protection.
Yes, exactly. And you also, with that technology, you also want to have the personal
Yeah.
customer service as well. You want to be able to call and know that someone's going to be there to pick up
Right.
the phone. You don't want to press 1 and 2 and be.
So you'd
go
make
in
yourself
circles.
you make yourself available.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Do you have any
I think
background in the field?
I do have my real estate license.
Oh,
Yes, since 2010.
Okay.
My parents have been realtors since I was a young girl as well.
Oh, okay.
So it's always
you're familiar with
I'm
the
very
real estate
familiar. Yes.
Yep.
So again, it's always been an interest of mine. And my background is in business management and economics,
Ah.
and I see this as a management position. Making sure that the registry runs efficiently and is accountable to your tax dollars as well.
A lot of people may not realize it, but there was a time when you can get a realtor's license by just applying for it. Now you have to go to classes.
You do.
Now
yes.
you have to learn something
Yes, you do.
because realtors
And
can set pricing.
mhm.
You make it you can set the house.
Certainly
So you have to have
Comparative.
some kind of knowledge.
yes, and you have to keep up with continuing education credits as well.
Oh,
So you're continually taking classes and
so you have to
continue
continue
learn.
to keep your license?
Yes, to keep your license, you have to take so many continuing education classes.
Oh, I didn't know
Mhm.
that. I know
Yes.
that, because I thought about getting my realtor's license at one
Okay.
time, just for the heck of it.
Sure.
On the planning board, I'm familiar with a lot of the things that it involves, like zoning and,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And again, that's something the registry touches every day, too.
Right.
So people don't realize how much influence it does have in their everyday lives.
It's an interesting place to go to, and Mr. Vigalotti has moved it to a nice spot downtown.
Yes.
Because he had to get out of the courthouse.
Oh gosh, yes.
What are they going to do with that courthouse?
The old courthouse.
Yeah.
You know, I know they've had plans. I know it's been bought, and so.
Oh, it was
but
bought?
I believe so. It was bought because there was some back and forth. I know there were some issues with it.
The part that they
with
built in the 50s, they could tear that down. But the old part, that is a nice
Yes,
building.
very nice.
Inside, it's unbelievable.
Exactly.
I mean, the marble and all.
Oh, sure.
That's a
sure.
beautiful building. That
And
would,
it's been
that would-
abandoned for so long. So
Yeah.
again, something else that can.
that would be a shame to take that down.
Absolutely, I agree. So we have that in the auditorium that they're looking to
Same
do
with the
something
yard.
with too. Yeah.
You know,
right
that's a
next
nice
door.
building. World War II monument. Was it? No, it was a World War I monument. Yeah. So I'd go back.
Sure.
Saw a few shows in there myself
Okay. Oh,
many
yeah.
years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a great place to go. And that's empty now and
It
nothing
is.
being done.
No, and I think they're trying. The city's
Yeah.
certainly working on it.
But it's tough
There's a
because
lot of work.
these are Greek revival buildings. They're really nice looking buildings on the outside,
Absolutely.
and they're
So much potential.
yeah, they're
so
nice
much
on the
potential.
inside. But you got to do some work. I mean, you got to upgrade them.
Right. And people have to appreciate that, but that is a lot of work
Yeah.
too. And when you're working with historical commission, their regulations there
Yes.
too, that can be difficult for someone coming in to develop.
You know, the Worcester courthouse was famous because of Shays' Rebellion. It came down from northern central Mass and rebelled against the taxes that they were being hit with in Massachusetts from Boston. You know, it's a wonder that Worcester didn't end up
Absolutely.
being the capital because we're so central.
Absolutely. Wouldn't that be something?
You wouldn't have to
That'd be
travel far.
something. Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. So anyway, we're going to run shy here, so I want to give you a
Goodness.
chance to tell the people why they should vote for you for Register of Deeds.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you, Harry. You know, as we've touched upon a bit this evening, you know, I know we haven't really got into a little bit of my background just by way of that. I was born and raised in Leicester. I currently live in Worcester, and received my BA in Economics and Business from Sweetbriar College down in Virginia. And from there, I moved up to Washington, D.C., spent a few years there working for the federal government in a legislative office. I moved back home back in about 2009, 2010. I was working for Perini Construction out in Framingham. And
Familiar with them.
yeah, many people are, and was working in business development there, working on project management for a lot of construction projects overseas. I mean, these are multi-million-dollar
Oh, I know,
projects,
it's a huge company.
air bases, embassies. So really enjoyed that, but found that my nights and weekends were spent, you know,
You got a pretty
going
wide
to-
background.
I do, yes.
Yeah.
So that was Perini was a great company to work for, and moved on to there and realized my true passion was public service, and
So you
when
ran for
when
state
I
rep?
ran for state rep, and
So
I've truly loved it.
That was
though-
your first dab into politics.
Yes, it was. It was.
And you were successful.
I was.
You won the first time you ran.
I did. I did.
That's quite the feat.
Yes, and it's been a very rewarding job in itself. I feel like we've gotten a lot accomplished. Very proud of a lot of legislation I put forward too, including a student loan bill. That, gosh, I could spend so
We
much
gotta
time
wrap it up.
talking
I wanna
about. But
thank you for coming in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's why I gotta make room for the next show.
But okay.
I wanna thank you for
But-
coming in, and I'd like to have you come back.
Okay, I would love to.
Yeah.
Would love to.
Yeah, probably in the fall,
Sure.
before the election.
Okay.
All right.
Would love to.
Well, thank you very
Okay,
much.
Harry,
Okay.
thank you for having me on. It's been
And
a
we'll see
pleasure.
you next week. My guest is going to be Danielle from the Green Plate, the new restaurant in town.